I want to go back to the Charlie Gasparino's story from a few minutes ago that he was breaking for us and reporting that Senator John McCain has privately been criticizing the House tax reform bill. Now, we do have a statement that I want to pass along from the senator given to Fox Business. This is from McCain's spokesperson saying, as he does with every bill, Senator McCain will carefully review the details of the Senate tax reform legislation once it's finalized to ensure it benefits the people of Arizona. Now, we have a member of the House Ways and Means Committee, another one with us, a Republican Congresswoman from South Dakota, Kristi Noem. So it's not exactly a no from Senator McCain, although on the Senate side, people are already saying, Congresswoman, as you know, that this is going to be tougher than what you guys are going through in the House. Not that it's a cakewalk, but that once you get to the Senate, you might have some trouble with this bill. What do you think?
You know, the Senate, I'm sure, will come forward with their own bill. We're busy working on ours in committee today. We're going line by line through the tax code, through the legislative text, making sure that it's going to benefit hardworking taxpayers, that it's going to help those families that are struggling from paycheck to paycheck. I ran into a woman the other day that just was wondering when it was going to get better. So this is what this bill does. It's going to make sure that they have more money in their paychecks and that they have some areas that they can prepare better for their future and provide for their kids.
The big picture questions, or you could call them complaints, it depends on who you're talking to, that have come in about this bill, whether it's on the Wall Street Journal's editorial page or just the conversations we've been having on this show today, is that, you know what, it might be great on the corporate side. It might help American business and get the economy back running again and, and growing at a faster rate. You get corporate taxes down to a 20% rate. But on the individual side, people are not so thrilled with the fact that some Americans might actually end up paying net higher taxes. What do you say to that?
Boy, I don't know about that. The majority of Americans are going to get a big tax cut.
But not all, right?
All of them will get a tax cut. If you look into the future in the 10 years of this bill and what it covers, they will have more money in their pockets and they will have more opportunities to provide for those future plans that they have. You know,
so
we're
you're
incentivizing them to...
Every American will pay fewer dollars in taxes on a net basis than they do now? I don't think that's
we've been
true,
working
right?
we've been working on this legislative text for years. In fact, I've been on the committee for 2 years. We've had over a dozen hearings on tax proposals. We've had hundreds of hours put in on looking at each analysis of each provision to make sure that every American benefits and that they all benefit from a simpler tax code. The vast majority of Americans will be able to do their taxes on a postcard. That means they will no longer have to pay someone to help them pay their taxes. While they're able to get some tax credits for their families, for their children, for their mortgage, to put a roof over their heads, they'll be able to save for an education and for retirement. All of these are priorities that people have brought to us that we put into this much simpler tax code that's going to actually raise their paychecks.
Where's the biggest area today for horse trading that you're seeing, or the biggest proposals that are coming forward in this markup as it begins? We're showing some of the back and forth that I'm sure is out there now, just with details that are in the bill that we saw introduced last week. But what's the biggest area up for debate today that you've been hearing?
You know, we all specialize in different areas. I've specialized in areas that focus on agriculture because of my state and my background, but also on families. I've worked hard in the family tax credit and the flexible savings account for those families, the mortgage interest rate, but also interest deduction in small businesses. I'd say that in the House, as it moves forward, we're still debating those state and local taxes. We're still looking at the small business provision. But what's great about our committee is that we did a manager's amendment in committee today, recognizing we needed to make a few tweaks. We'll continue to look at that before we go to the floor. So these members of Congress, that they're hearing things from their district on ways we can better serve the families and the people they represent, we're taking all of that feedback.
Well, they're hearing from their lobbyists, right, too. The small business lobby was quite outspoken. So, I mean, you brought that up already. And the state and local issue is a big one. It's maybe we hear more about it because it's up in the Northeast where we're broadcasting from today. But, you know, that's something that's got to be looked at, no? Or is there a fix there?
I think that we're still continuing to work on that issue, but you talked about lobbyists, and that's one thing that we have to be careful of because we're making this tax code much more fair.
Right.
Those lobbyists have been extremely successful over the years, getting special provisions that has created loopholes and special benefits from them that the average person in America doesn't enjoy, and that's why we're fixing this tax code and repealing things like the death tax, a double tax. You know, we cannot continue a tax code that picks winners and losers. And so we're fixing those problems. So I would say if members of Congress are listening to lobbyists that represent big corporate America, they're doing the wrong thing. Go home, go to a basketball game, go to church, go stand at a gas station, talk to the people in your district about what they need, and that's how we get a fair tax code.
We have to go here time-wise, but I just picked up on the thing about winners and losers. I mean, the argument back on that is that this whole thing is being paid for by the well-to-do up in the, especially in the high-tax states, that they're essentially the losers while everybody else becomes a winner. Isn't that part of it?
What we focused on is looking at growth and how do we help families and how do we make sure that people in America are going to have more opportunities in the future.
Okay.
That's the priorities. And when we get into complicated discussions, we always come back to those priorities. What's going to help get this country to grow? And our proposal says it will grow our GDP by 3.1%, create up to 1 million jobs, raise wages, create thousands of jobs in my small state of South Dakota, and raise the average family's income by almost $4,000 per household. In a state where the average family income is $54,000, that's life-changing. That's why this is important.
Congresswoman, thank you. We appreciate all the time. I know you have to get back at it in there. Congresswoman Kristi Noem, South Dakota.